Let it begin.
King Solomon ruled over ancient Israel and had extensive knowledge of the Kabbalah, which he used to communicate with demons.
As King Solomon was anointed king, the priest known as Zadok, and the prophet known as Nathan, so thou be anointed, blessed and consecrated, queen over all the people.
King Solomon is the single most important figure in the occult teachings of world international Freemasonry. The ancient Goetia is a book of powerful invocations and spells written by King Solomon. These ancient spells and evocations were used to summon spirits who were then psychically tortured and forced to serve King Solomon. The Goetia contains descriptions of 72 demons, some of whom control their own army of lesser demons. King Solomon evoked and imprisoned these spirits in a bronze vessel sealed using magic symbols. The Goetia explains how the spirits can be compelled into obedience. The Goetia describes a demonic royal hierarchy of spirits, many of which are referred to as knights, princes, and kings. King Solomon ruled ancient Israel from the year 970 to 928 BC. Satanists, occultists, and Freemasons worldwide venerate the memory of King Solomon, who owned a magic ring engraved with a symbol called the Seal of Solomon. A symbol called the Seal of Solomon. This gave him power over the invisible monarchy of demons. This Seal of Solomon is better known as the Star of David. It is this symbol which is encoded into the $1 bill. It is also the flag of Israel. This symbol, which was used to invoke and control Asmodeus, one of the senior spirit kings in the infernal monarchy of hell. Well, David Icke's book, The Biggest Secret, is one of my all-time favourite books. There is a section in there talking about a character called Pindar, who apparently is the boss of some of the satanic councils or satanic groups in America, and he also attends rituals in Europe. And according to some of the sources which David Icke used for his book, Pindar, this character, is otherwise known as the Marquis de Libu, or the Marquis of Libu. So there is a section in the book saying, you know, can you give us any more information? And David Icke requests the reader, you know, if you've got any information, then come forward. Now, a good friend of mine actually wrote a book called The Way of the Dragon, and it's an excellent book. It's all in French. And I have, French grandparents, so it's quite easy for me to be able to research ancient French documents. Now, Libu was suggested to me by my friend as possibly being an anagram of the old French term, which is bilu, or biliou. Now, bilu is a plural of the word Belial, and Belial means demon, and Biliou is an old French term for plural, which is demons. So if Libu is an anagram of Biliou, and I believe it is, this man is attending the satanic councils. Apparently he arrives in a white Rolls Royce or some white limousine. And he calls himself the Marquis of Demons, or the Marquis of Demons. Now, that's absolutely fascinating, because many of the 72 spirits which we see described in the Howling, the Book of Howling, otherwise known as the Goetia, it's also known as the Book of Shadows. Many of the 72 spirits there, you've got all these instructions of how to summon these spirits. Many of them are marquises. Many of them are dukes, presidents, kings. I would say probably around a quarter of them have a rank of marquis or equivalent to a marquis. And if you conjure these spirits using the information which you find in the Goetia and also in other medieval grimoires, you will see that in your mind's eye these spirits often appear riding dragons or griffins, or they hold serpents in their hands, and at your command they will take the form of a human being. At the magician's command they will take the form of a human. But if you look at the sketches which have been used to illustrate many, many different versions of the Goetia, you will see that many of these spirits are, they have royal rank, like a marquis or an earl or a duke, king, and there is definitely reptilian symbology, and if you command the spirit to take on a human form, it will do, and it will shapeshift. So I think there's many parallels with my research into the medieval grimoires and the Goetia, which dates back probably to Sumeria and Babylon, and the research which is presented in The Biggest Secret, which is one of my all-time favourite books. Asmodeus, who often appears as a classic devil creature, can be found inside the church of Rennes-le-Château in the Languedoc region of southern France. This church was transformed into a Kabbalistic temple masquerading as an ordinary village church in the 1880s by Abbé Saunière, who discovered documents from King Solomon's temple stashed inside the altar. To this very day, the British coronation is a bastardized version of the actual coronation ritual of King Solomon. King Solomon and his magical temple are the central foundation stone of world international Freemasonry. The Masonic rituals are designed to invoke a magical atmosphere in the lodge. Millions of Freemasons meet every week at lodges all over the planet, all venerating and singing hymns to King Solomon and spirits. Since the Dark Ages, misguided, selfish individuals have joined various cults such as the OTO, the Knights Templar, and Freemasonry in order to study different elements of ritual, blood oaths, and a form of the Kabbalah. The upper levels of Freemasonry require the initiate to memorize dozens of pages of text written in Hebrew and study symbols used in the Goetia to invoke spirits. The Templars and Masons have been led by senior royals since the beginning. The Masonic network provides the monarchy with an invisible worldwide cabal who have sworn allegiance to the monarchy and their Masonic demon god known as Yabulon. The entity known as Baal is named by King Solomon as the most senior spirit in the infernal royal hierarchy of demons. Masons swear never to divulge each other's secrets. Also, never to criticize a fellow Mason, even if he be guilty of murder. This provides the monarchy with a global army of Freemasons willing to do their service in secret to the crown. To the British royals of the Middle Ages, murder by magic was accepted as fact. Queen Elizabeth I and King Henry VIII ruled Britain at a time when the black arts of witchcraft and poisoning were inseparably linked. Across Europe, the monarchy was involved with one murder after another, many deaths attributed to a form of black magic, often perpetrated by someone within the royal court. In 1388, the Queen of Aragon was accused of the attempted murder of her own son by using witchcraft. In 1419, Jeanne of Navarre, the widow of King Henry IV, tried using magical spells to kill her stepson, Henry V. Jeanne of Navarre was convicted on evidence offered by her chaplain. further revelations exposed the fact that witchcraft was being practiced right at the very heart of the royal court of England. Like the Kabbalist magicians, witches were also sometimes employed by the monarchy. Medieval witches would often make wax figurines resembling the likeness of the intended victim. The doll would then be tortured and burnt, often causing ill effects on the victims. It is claimed that this technique can induce an early death by heart attack or disease. King Alfred recognized the tendency for royals and noblemen to use witchcraft and imposed the death sentence for anyone practicing the black arts. However, his law went unheeded. By the late Middle Ages, satanic black masses were attended by royals and aristocrats in Vienna, Paris, Venice, and London. King Henry VIII came to the throne knowing that psychics, magicians, and mystics with knowledge of necromancy had been on permanent employment with the royal court. In 1538, Mabel Brigg was executed in York for trying to kill Henry VIII using the so-called Black Fast, where the sorcerer performs a hunger strike inside a magic circle whilst directing the wrath of spirits against the victim. In 1429, it was disclosed through letters written by Jean of Navarre that she was a member of a coven of witches which operated right in the heart of the English royal court. One of her fellow witches was the wife of one of her stepsons, Eleanor Cobham, who was married to Humphrey, Duke of Gloucester. Eleanor Cobham was arrested on the 25th of June 1441 at the King's Head Tavern in Cheapside, London, and stood trial for witchcraft. Her husband was the heir to the British throne.
Let it begin.